Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday night Principal Chiropractic broadcast, sponsored by DE and Band Brothers around the world. We are less than 2 months from DE, and we're talking to Kat in the background, and it's kind of a wild card because you don't know in October if the Atlanta Braves are going to be in the playoffs, which they probably will be. So if you are at all thinking you're coming to DE, you need to probably book your room sooner than later. You can always cancel it later. So if there's any thought you're coming to DE, one, get your ass down there, and two, make sure you get the room blocked. There's rooms to be taken, but like I say, because of baseball and it being so close to the stadium, that hotel is where everybody wants to be. So make your room reservation. If you want to cancel it later, you can. And again, bring students. I want more shaved heads because so many students show up there. We also, tonight, our speaker, we got on early. We actually started early because I really don't know our speaker that well. And I'm curious to see her or hear her story. I remember seeing her when she was a student. She'd been a graduate of Life College or Life Chiropractic University, Life U, whatever. And she graduated in 2019. She's been coming to DE since 2015. Said she came all the time when she's a student, and success leaves clues. She stopped coming in so often, came back to this last one and kind of rocked her world. So maybe it'd be just best if you just keep coming when you're a student and then keep coming when you're a doc and just rock the world. So she's originally from New York City. And now she and her wonderful husband practice in Richmond, Virginia. You all know Joe Abretski, and this is Maxine Abretski, and is really anxious to hear her story. So I'm gonna let her take over.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for having me. So yes, my name is Maxine, formerly known as Maxine Chiro. I'm from New York City. How I found chiropractic, I was actually kind of an interesting story. When I was around 15, I actually had some neck and back pain going on. My mom was like, just figure it out, whatever you want to do. And I was walking around the streets of New York, and there's Avenue fairs, kind of like a screening. And I saw a chiropractor, went up to him, and I was like, I think this is what I need. Unfortunately, I was really young. So he was like, all right, well, you got to bring your mom or someone. And my mom went with me. She was on board. I went. It was great. I went consistently for about 2 years. Then I stopped when I went to college. Some of the pain started coming back, and I started going. I started going consistently again when I was at school. I was going for about 4 or 5 months, and then I got into a car accident. I was biking and I was hit by a car. I ended up going to the hospital, and I thought I was fine. My mom kind of freaked out, so that's why I went. And I was in a lot of pain. And it was interesting because when I went to the hospital, the only thing that they could give me were pain medication. And I said, thank you. I didn't take them. But what I came from that experience is, what would have happened if that no one told me about chiropractic? Because they didn't tell me chiropractic at that time. I was really thankful that I knew about chiropractic ahead of time. And so I went back to my chiropractor. I bounced back super fast, as all of you probably know, or could experience. And at that moment, that was a defining moment where I realized I need to be a chiropractor, because more people need to know that chiropractic exists. I always thought about what my life would have been like if I didn't know about chiropractic and I chose to do that route. So ever since that day, one of my number one purposes in life is to just let people know that they have choices, and chiropractic is an option. So fast forward, I went to school from 2014, graduated in 2019, and graduated June of 2019. In July, Joe and I moved to Richmond, Virginia. By late October, really November 1st, we started seeing people in an office. pretty crazy, and it was awesome. And yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of jump into this. One more thing about me is I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. So to give up the strength and courage to do this talk, I'm wearing my Hufflepuff shirt, if you can see. 3 things that represent a Hufflepuff is dedication, patience, and loyalty. And I'm very nervous to do this call, but I dedicated to it. So I am here dedicating to this call. I am patient with myself and knowing that I am growing. And then I am also loyal to the profession. So what Andy said, yes, I started DE in around 2015. And Joe and I stopped going to DE for a little bit once we got into practice. But we went to this past DE, and Brian Lieberman was in the hall, and he looked at Joe, and he's like, Abretski, you should do a call. And Joe was like, which one? So then I decided to do it. And I'm very thankful because this talk is really going to be about creating an environment. And just by doing this call, it's kind of pushing me outside my environment to really realize that I need to grow. So yeah, this call is going to be focused on my environment, or just the environment. At DE, it reminded me of that environment. It's, what do I love about it? It was the love, the service, the support, and energy at DE that reminded me of what we need to have in our office. Dr. Serge mentioned to try and change 3 things. For things to change, you must change. Like you are, where you are, as you are, bloom where you are. To me, that was all I can think about was my environment. So the 3 things that I want to change is 1, be more present with people, love on them. One of our patients, he came in. I didn't really think I was going to vibe really well with him at all. I thought he was going to be more of someone Joe was going to take care of. But after I adjusted him, he got off the table and he just said that your presence, like to me, that my presence and my vibe was just amazing and exactly what he needed. And he just felt so relaxed, so at peace. And it was really amazing to see that transformation in him. And just every single time he got off the table, you can just see that everything melts away, and how just creating that environment. And every single time I'm with him, I always try and make sure that I'm present. I'm not necessarily an expert at these right now, but I am just growing. Another thing that I wanted to change was something that Brian Lieberman said. He said, assume that this is the only place where people are talking about chiropractic. So talk to them about it. Once I started doing this and incorporating it, I actually started feeling happier and more fulfilled in our office. It was, the time just felt different and just felt more alive being in there. And now every single time I'm there, I always try and connect whatever they're saying, whatever's going on in their life, whatever they have going on, to chiropractic. Because why are they here? They're here because we're different. And we're probably the only place in their life at this time that they're receiving chiropractic. So let's talk about it. Going back to like, work is fun. I love to work. Well, let's make this environment a great environment. Another patient of ours, she got off the table once and she said, you guys are different. She's been to other chiropractors in the past, and she was just like, something is different about you. And I said, yeah. And this was right before we went to DE, and I said, Joe and I are considered straight chiropractors. And I went a little bit more into that and got in a little bit into the history of chiropractic and why we focus on the adjustment. We focus on chiropractic. It's not saying this person's really into health and does a lot of health coaching. And I never said like we're against it. I think it's awesome. But in our office, we like to stay in our lane, and we are chiropractors and this is what we're doing. And so because this is all what we do, it's easier for us to focus on it. So we're creating this environment of chiropractic is the main purpose in our office. The third thing, which was really hard for me, I grew up in a family that is a lot about business-oriented things, and it's all about numbers. It's how well you can succeed, but success is all based upon numbers. And so coming into a business, I just focused on the numbers a lot. I would look at it every day, every hour. It was really bad. And going out to eat this last time really reminded me that what Dr. Sid would say, you have the business hand and you have the service hand. I was way too focused on the business hand. And so I stopped. I stopped focusing on the money and stopped looking at people as a number of money coming in. I let it go. I have a limit of how much I can look at the money. And I saw the person as a person coming in. And I had a mental shift. And when I did that, I started helping them, and I was able to be more present with them on the table, talk more about chiropractic, why we're doing what we're doing. And the crazy thing, not really crazy, but because of all this last month, it ended up being our highest in collections and our highest in adjustments and for the year. And it just made me remember, let's focus on the person and service. Dr. Chris Walker at this last DE, he mentioned, if you keep going down the path, you'll get burned out. And that's how I was feeling before, when I just kept focusing on the numbers and didn't really see the numbers grow. I just felt like I was getting burnt out, but I couldn't really understand why. And once I let that go, people started coming in, which was really, really interesting. So all these things are about changing our environment. An analogy I've been using a lot lately is about a plant. I don't really have a green thumb, but I like to theorize how plants work, and I try my best. So with a plant, we always talk about you put the seed in the dirt, and the plant needs water and it needs sunlight. Well, if we plant two plants, you give one water and sunlight and the other one nothing. Well, what's going to happen? The one that you're giving nothing, it's probably not going to grow. But when you give it water and sunlight, things that it needs, you create a good environment for it, it's going to grow. And so that's how I relate it to our patients about their body. When you give the body the right environment, it can do the healing. And then I decided to think about that one step further, about when they're coming in, how about we create the environment in our office? Let's change that environment. Let's change it to be more like you feel at DE, more about love, service, support, and all that energy. And once we started doing that and more loving on the people, the craziest thing happened. So the other day, we always ask people, hey, if you have a friend that's interested in chiropractic and needs adjustments, whatever, have them come in. Just observe your adjustment. If they have any questions for us, great, we're here to ask. Well, typically when they do that, they actually don't sign up for care, except after DE. On one day, we had 3 people bring friends in with them, and all 3 of them signed up. It was amazing to us. We were so happy. And I think it's because we created that environment. We created a more loving energy, more filled with chiropractic, more about, I feel like they could really feel why we do what we do and why we love it. Another thing is something we need to remind ourselves when people leave is we have to love people in, but also love them out. And sometimes when there's a patient that we see it on our books and we're just like, I really don't like their energy. They really suck from us. They're just bringing us down. And when they decide to leave, it actually feels really nice. And to remember that we're going to love them out. And if they ever want to come back in, we're always here for them. But when they leave, instead of being really upset about losing a patient, it's because they're gone. Now that's actually going to create another space for someone else. That happened this week. We brought even more people in. And I feel like when we do that, we're actually creating better energy of the people that we want. And it's usually a better fit for us and the people that have decided to go off on their journey. We impacted them. You never know how far reaching what you say or do to them is going to impact their life. And so I just let God do the healing, God continue on their journey. And I know we help them at least at some point in their journey in life. So one thing, going back to how I found chiropractic, was screenings. I actually love screenings. I really, really, really enjoy it. I think the phrase "work is fun, I love to work" is really how I feel when I'm at a screening. I really enjoy it. So much so that other people can feel that as well. I do this one farmer's market, and this farmer's market's been there for years. And there's been another vendor there that he's been going to this farmer's market for at least 10 years, he told me. And one day he came up to me when I was not having the best day there, but I was still really happy to be there. And he came up to me and he made a comment, and he said that you are the best chiropractor that's ever been at this farmer's market. I asked him why, and he said it's because of your energy. You're approachable. There is something about you that people want to talk to you, and you just seem the happiest I've ever seen. And apparently I'm actually the longest chiropractor that's also been at this farmer's market. And it's because sometimes I make my tent and my booth just bring a little bit of that energy and environment of what we would have in our office, to kind of give them a little glimpse of how excited we are, what we do. And we just love talking about why we're here and how we can help them and show them or let them know that there are options. So when we're having hard days at the office, or just days when it's a little bit slower, we like to remind ourselves, work is fun, I love to work. Work is fun, I love to work. I probably repeated 3 times, and I could just feel the energy shift around me. And it brings me back to DE. DE really has this amazing environment about it. And sometimes when you're there, you just feel this high, this energy of everyone around. And then you go home, and sometimes there's like this lull because you're just around so many people. It's so chaotic. And then you go home. But this time we decided to make a change. And the change was, let's bring some of that energy from DE back into our office. Not only did it revive us, or it reminded us of why we're here, it really made us feel like we had this purpose again. And what we're doing is making an impact on others. And there's a lot of negative people out there, and I don't want our office to be one of them. I want one of our offices to be a positive place, a place for people to see a different way of life. Just make one small change. And when one small change happens, another change happens, and another change. There's a study that I saw once when I was in chiropractic school, is when people start under care, they start making better and better changes throughout their life. Just like BJ said, you never know how impactful something that you may say, do, or change, or something you may say or do can change the lives of millions tomorrow. And I see that with one of our closest friends. The way that they viewed the world, the way that they viewed health was one way, one paradigm. Then they started getting under care, and they just start making all these changes. Every single time we hang out with them, it's another change, another change. It's like they're waking up and they're seeing something else. And it's amazing how now when I hang out with them, I can just feel that their environment's changing. The feel in their house has changed. When we're hanging out with them, that environment's changing. But where did that environment change? That changed with me first. And I'm so, so grateful that I went to DE this time. Joe and I have decided that we're going to start going to DE more, because we want to bring that energy again. And we just think about, if we made 3 great changes from this DE, what are the next 3 changes we're going to make at the next one? And if we just keep making these small improvements up, well, what's our practice going to be like in 5 years? I saw a post the other day, and it was about yourself 5 years ago would be so happy for where you are now. And I think about that all the time. We're so happy, so grateful to have the practice that we have. And I don't think it would have been the same if we didn't go to DE while we were in school. And I'm so grateful that we are going to DE now. So I love and appreciate you all. I hope you all go back to DE, and I'll see you there. So that's all I got. So thanks.
Well, I love it. A lot of people go home and try to change 15 things, and they get paralyzed. They can't do anything, right? I heard Sarah say 3 things and 3 things only. And if you do those 3 things, especially present time conscious with your patient, they're going to feel wow, right? They're going to feel the wow. Then if you talk to the tech, it doesn't have to be sold. You just tell the story. People just don't know it, right? And then, for you to stop focusing on the money, if you can ever just let go, it comes abundantly. That's why give, love, and serve out of your own abundance with no expectation of returns. It comes in. You just don't have to. Yes, the good thing about numbers is they're great at like a grade card. It tells you where your focus is. But if your focus is just the numbers won't do any good. Just like what you said about screening. You go out and do a screening. I don't know how many people I've heard say, "Oh, I hate screenings, don't like do it." Well, then don't do them. If you don't like them, don't do them. If you go with the wow intention or say I'm going to save somebody's life, they work. If you go because they tell me DE I should do a screening, well, they're going to suck. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. So everything you did created a wow, and that's why your life is going to be better. I appreciate it. You did a great job, young lady. You keep it up, okay? And we'll see you at the next DE for sure. Thank you so much, and everybody have a great night. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week.